We have started with our new subject, that is fluid mechanics. And in the last lecture, we have seen the first topic regarding, that is, properties of the fluids. Okay, we have covered that in our last lecture. Now we will move forward. That is properties that we have seen in the last lecture. Also, we have solved the previously asked question papers, questions regarding the first topic. Okay, so we will move forward for the next point of our chapter, that is the measurement of the pressure. Okay, the new chapter, that is measurement of the pressure. So before the starting of that, we should know the Pascal's law, which states that the pressure or the intensity of the pressure at a point in a static fluid is equal in the all direction. Okay, whenever we are dealing with the Pascal law, it states that the pressure or the intensity of the pressure at a point in a static fluid is equal in all the direction. And this law is applicable in the various fields where we are dealing with the hydraulic systems. Okay, that is in the hydraulic lift, in the hydraulic jack, in the hydraulic braking system. Okay, the best example of the hydraulic lift is the Brahma's press, which was the first invented by the scientist called as Brahma. So its name is taken as the Brahma's press. Okay, what he told about the application of the Pascal's law is that, suppose I am taking one container. Okay, I am taking one container. There is different areas of the opening. Suppose the water is filled up to this level in this container. Suppose the water is filled up to this level. Now, what the what the Brahma suggested is that whatever the pressure that we are applying on the liquid is equally distributed in all directions. And how he proves, he gives the one application. Suppose I put one piston here. Okay, and I apply the pressure P or the pressure force P on this liquid. So whatever force or the pressure intensity that I have applied on this liquid is transmitted. Suppose here is another something I have placed. It is transferred to the another limb of that container. Okay, whatever I have applied pressure intensity in the left limb, that will be transferred to the right limb. Okay, so see here, as here area is less. Okay, as we know how we calculate the stress, whatever the force that we apply divided by area. So here area is the less, so here stress will be more. As here area is more, the stress will be less. Okay, there will be application of less stress, but the same intensity of the pressure will be carried out forward. Okay, so this is the application of Pascal's law. This is given by the Brahma. So it is, firstly, it is known as the Brahma's press. This is used in that Brahma's press. So it is best example. So also it is applicable in the hydraulic jack, in the hydraulic braking system, etc. Okay. The pressure variation in the fluid at the rest, how the pressure varies when any container carries the liquid, and if it is at the rest. Suppose this is the liquid level in any, suppose I have restricted this liquid by the wall. This is the base. Okay, and here is the liquid, and I have resisted the flow of this liquid by this wall. So this liquid is in the static condition. Okay, this liquid is in the static, as it is in the rest condition. Rest indicates what? Static condition. So how the pressure varies? The pressure varies like this, the triangular form. The pressure varies in the triangular form. And how we calculate the pressure at the base? As we go deep in deep, how the pressure varies, we know the formula how the pressure is calculated. Suppose this is height h, so pressure at this point is equal to rho gh, as we have seen in the last lecture also. Pressure, how we calculate the pressure? As a rho gh. It is also written as omega g. Rho g means what? Omega. We can write it as, okay, weight density, and here it is mass density. It rho g or rho gh or omega g. We can write in this both way. Okay, so this will be the pressure variation in the liquid when the liquid is at static condition, that is when the liquid is at rest. So according to the hydrostatic law, the rate of increase in the pressure in the vertical direction is equal to the weight density of fluid. Okay, so rate of increase of the pressure in the vertical direction as we go deep in the water or any fluid, it depends on the density of that liquid. Okay, its density. So how we calculate? So pressure is depends on the weight density of that liquid and the height. Weight density we can also write it as rho gh. So how can we tell when the fluid is at rest? It depends on the weight density and height of that liquid. Also, if I take the mass density, gravitational force, and h, that is height of that liquid. Okay. Simple formula rho gh, or you can write it as omega into h. You can use any formula from this both. Then the next term is the relation between the absolute pressure, gauge pressure, and the atmospheric pressure. It is very important relationship. Okay, so I will tell this relationship by the figure. So see here, I will explain the theory after the figure. See here, suppose here is one figure. When we are considering the total vacuum condition, when we are considering the total vacuum condition, then the pressure at that point is considered as absolute pressure, absolute zero pressure. When I am considering the total vacuum condition, at that point, whatever the pressure will be there, that pressure is taken as absolute zero pressure. If I go into the atmosphere, into the vacuum, okay, if I go into the vacuum, so I will feel no pressure there. I will not feel any pressure there. So that pressure is known as absolute zero pressure. But on the earth, due to the atmospheric condition, there is something pressure which is greater than the absolute pressure. That pressure is known as atmospheric pressure. Okay, see carefully. When I will go to the vacuum, okay, when I will go into the vacuum, I will not feel any pressure. That pressure is called as absolute zero pressure. But when I enters into the atmosphere, in the atmospheric condition, suppose I am on the earth, so I will feel something pressure. Okay, and that pressure is due to the surrounding atmosphere. So it is called as atmospheric pressure, which is something greater than the absolute pressure. Whenever I am taking the baseline as a vacuum pressure, then whatever the pressure I am measuring, that pressure is taken as absolute pressure. Suppose I will consider one point, and here I will consider the another point. Suppose this is point A, this is point B. Okay, I am dealing with these 2 points. Please see carefully here. Okay, I am dealing with these 2 points. Okay, whenever I am taking the pressure with respect to the vacuum, okay, means suppose I am calculating the pressure of point A with respect to vacuum, then this pressure is called as absolute pressure. when I take the pressure with respect to vacuum. Also, if I am taking the pressure of point B with respect to the vacuum, then also it is known as absolute pressure. But when I am taking the pressure, measurement of the pressure with respect to the atmospheric pressure, see here, see carefully, when I am measuring the pressure with respect to atmospheric pressure, at that time the pressure is known as gauge pressure. Okay, whenever I am measuring the pressure with respect to the atmospheric pressure, it is called as or named as gauge pressure. And in the whenever we are dealing with any instrument that we are you might have seen the pressure measuring devices in the tires. Okay, whenever we fill the air in the tire, we measure the pressure by using the gauge. Whatever the pressure that gauge denotes, that pressure is with respect to the atmospheric pressure. All the instruments available in the market are of gauge pressure. Okay, means what? By all these instruments, we measure the pressure with respect to the atmospheric pressure. Okay, all the instruments are measuring the gauge pressures. And suppose if it is above the atmospheric line, then we call it as gauge pressure or positive gauge pressure. And when it is below the atmospheric pressure line, suppose I am dealing with now point B and I have to calculate the pressure at point B. Now it is below atmospheric pressure. When the pressure is below atmospheric pressure, it is called as vacuum pressure. When the pressure is below atmospheric pressure line, it is called as vacuum pressure or negative gauge pressure. It is also called as negative gauge pressure. You see here, when we are measuring the pressure with respect to the atmospheric pressure, okay, whenever we are measuring the pressure with respect to the atmospheric pressure, if that pressure lies above the atmospheric line, it is called as gauge pressure. And if that pressure lies below the atmospheric line, then it is called as vacuum pressure. Okay, and whenever we are dealing or we are taking the base as a total vacuum, okay, we are taking the base as a vacuum line, then the pressure which is measured with respect to the vacuum, it is known as absolute pressure. Now see what is the relation between them. Now I want to calculate the relation between the absolute pressure and the atmospheric pressure at point A. Suppose at point A, now I am calculating the relation between them at point A. What is the relation? I can write like pressure at point A, absolute pressure is equal to, see here, the total absolute pressure. How can it I write? This much pressure is, what is this pressure? Atmospheric pressure, P atmosphere. What this line indicates, the atmospheric pressure line, and above that it is gauge pressure. So simply I can write P absolute is equal to P atmospheric pressure plus P gauge pressure. You getting? See here, simply I can write P at absolute pressure. Suppose I am considering the point A, absolute pressure is the total, okay, and it is divided as, up to this line it is atmospheric pressure, and above this I am calling it as gauge pressure. Okay, now suppose at point B I am interested to calculate at point B. How can I calculate? Absolute pressure is equal to, so see here, now I am interested to calculate the pressure at point B. Now see, absolute pressure, how can I calculate? Absolute pressure is equal to, up to this line it is atmospheric pressure, P atmospheric. Now see, it is below atmospheric line. So I can write here minus what? It is vacuum pressure. Okay, minus what? It is vacuum pressure. So I can also write P absolute is equal to P atmospheric minus P vacuum pressure. Okay, we can remember like this by the figure. Okay, if you want, you can write or simply take the screenshot of this. Or you can take screenshot of this slide. Now, now we will go to the previous slide. We will see the definitions of that. Take the screenshot of this slide. Now the definition will be easy to understand. Okay, now we can easily understand the definitions of these parameters. Now see, what is atmospheric pressure? The pressure exerted by the atmospheric air upon all the surfaces comes in contact is called as atmospheric pressure. And it can be measured by the barometer at the sea level under the normal atmospheric condition at 15 degrees Celsius. The equivalent value of atmospheric pressure is taken as 101.325 kilopascal or kilonewton per meter square. This is very important. With respect to the vacuum, how much is the atmospheric pressure? The atmospheric pressure is taken as 101.325 kilopascal. Okay, this is very important. This is asked number of times in the exams, and it is equivalent to the water head and the mercury. How much water head? If suppose 10.33 meter of water is there or 76 centimeter of mercury is there, it will give the same pressure as atmospheric pressure. How can we write this? See here. Whatever the atmospheric pressure is there, that how much it is there? 101.325. This is very important. Take the note. Atmospheric pressure. Atmospheric pressure is equal to 101.325 kilopascal or kilonewton per meter square. It is asked number of times. These values also. Next line write down. Atmospheric pressure head is 10.33 meter of water. 10.33 meter of water or 76 centimeter of mercury. 76 centimeter of mercury. .76 centimeter of mercury. Okay. Written. Now see, how can I tell the 10.33 meter of water will give the same pressure as 101.325, that is atmospheric pressure. As we know, how we calculate the pressure? How we calculate? Rho G H. Okay, how we calculate the pressure? Rho G H or simply by omega into H. As we need to calculate it kilonewton, as the atmospheric pressure is given in kilonewton, we will use the second formula where density is Suppose I am now dealing with the water. Okay, what is the weight density of water? What is the weight density of water? Just there.
9.81.
बराबर. That's 9.81 kilonewton per meter square. Okay, meter cube. Correct. That is the weight density into how much head of water is given. See here, 10.33. If I multiply this value, please tell me the answer. Multiply 9.81 into 10.33. How much it will become? Do the calculation. 9.81 into 10.33. How much it will become? 101.33. Very good. 101.33 meters. So, sorry, kilonewton per meter square. So, how much it will give the pressure? 101.33. See here, it is same as atmospheric pressure, isn't it? So, I can say, see here, so I can say the 10.33 meter of water will use the same pressure as atmospheric pressure. I can also say like this, when I will take the 10.33 meter of water, whatever the pressure it will use, that will be equal to the same as atmospheric pressure. Similarly, if I take 6 centimeter of mercury, it will also give the same pressure as atmospheric pressure. It will give the pressure is equal to, if I calculate with this formula or by this formula, we will get the same pressure. Okay, means what? If I take a 10.33 meter of water in the container, whatever the pressure that 10.33 meter water will give, that will equal to 101.33. That is the atmospheric pressure. Also, if I take the 76 centimeter of mercury into the container, whatever the pressure that base will, whatever the pressure will be there at the base, that is equal to the atmospheric pressure. That is 101.325. So we can equate like this. The atmospheric pressure is the same as when the 10.33 meter of water and 76 centimeter of water, mercury. Okay, it will use the same or equal atmospheric pressure. If you have not written, please write this. The atmospheric pressure is measured by barometer. The atmospheric pressure is equal to 101.325 kilopascal per kilonewton per meter square. Atmospheric pressure head is a 10.33 meter of water or 76 centimeter of mercury. Okay, so this is about the atmospheric pressure. Now, what is mean by the absolute pressure? What is absolute pressure? When we measure the pressure with the vacuum, that is the zero vacuum condition, zero pressure condition. Okay, with respect to the vacuum, whatever the pressure we measure, that pressure is known as absolute pressure. Okay, this is the reference line. Then what is the gauge pressure? The pressure measured with respect to the pressure measuring instruments, in which the atmospheric pressure is taken as the data. Okay, please see carefully. Whenever we are dealing with the gauge pressure and the vacuum pressure, the baseline or the datum line is taken as atmospheric pressure. Okay, means what? When the pressure is above the atmospheric pressure, it is called as absolute pressure, and the pressure below the atmospheric pressure, it is called as vacuum pressure. Gauge pressure, vacuum pressure. Okay. So it is denoted by this figure. So what is the relation between them? The absolute pressure is equal to atmospheric pressure plus gauge pressure. You can write the relation between them. Relation between them. See here, absolute pressure is equal to atmospheric pressure plus gauge pressure. See in this figure, the minus gauge pressure is given. It is also known as vacuum pressure. Vacuum pressure. If I am dealing with the vacuum pressure, P absolute is equal to P atmospheric minus P vacuum. And always vacuum pressure is negative. Okay. So here it is taken as positive sign. Why? Because if there is a vacuum pressure, that will be the minus gauge. So it will ultimately become the sign as minus. They will ask the relation between these. Okay, the next term is the pressure measuring devices. There are two types of the pressure measuring devices. One is the manometer and second one is the mechanical gauges. In the manometer, there are again two types, simple manometer and differential manometer. Simple manometer consists of piezometer, U-tube manometer and single column manometer. A differential manometer consists of U-tube differential manometer, inverted U-tube differential manometer. And in the mechanical gauges, diaphragm pressure gauge, Bourdon tube pressure gauge, deadweight pressure gauge, and bellows gauge. At least you should know the names of mechanical gauges. The number of times the question will ask on the manometer only. Okay, so the manometer is important part here, and in the mechanical gauges, they will always focus on the Bourdon tube. Okay, so we will cover all the manometric pressure gauges as well as the Bourdon pressure gauge in the mechanical gauges. Okay, so but you should know the remaining parts, that is names of the remaining parts also, remaining gauges. Okay, so we will see one by one. And also see here note, simple manometer is used to measure the pressure at a point in the pipe, and differential manometer is used to measure the pressure difference between the points in the pipes. Okay, so we should know this relation. When we are dealing with the simple manometer, it will only measures the pressure at a point in the pipe. Okay, and whenever we are dealing with the differential manometer, we are measuring the pressure difference. We are measuring the pressure difference between the 2 points of the pipes. Okay, how? We will see now. So see, this is the first condition, that is simple U-tube manometer. In that first one is the piezometer and second one is the U-tube manometer. Okay, simply how we can calculate the pressure. Suppose for this figure, how can I calculate the pressure? Pressure P at a point A is equal to, pressure P at a point A is equal to, simple formula, rho G H. Okay, this is very important formula, rho G H. What is rho? Density of liquid, whatever it is there in the pipe. G, gravitational acceleration, and H, this is the height which is raised into the piezometer tube. Okay, this formula will give you the pressure at a point A, or you can also use this formula, whichever is easier to you. Please remember that formula. You can use rho GH, you can use omega into H. Okay, this is for piezometer. Okay, now you see for this YouTube manometer. Okay, so see here what it assumed into the YouTube manometer is that in along this x axis pressure will be equal in the left limb as well as in the right limb. So what is assumed here? Pressure in left limb is equal to pressure in right limb. Okay, what is assumed here? The pressure in the left limb is equal to pressure in the right limb. Limb means what? This vertical column. Okay, left side and right side. Okay, so see here, I want to calculate the pressure at here in the left limb. How can I calculate? Whatever of the pressure it is there at point A due to the flowing fluid, pressure at point A plus due to this height H1, due to this height H1, whatever the pressure rho1 G H1, whatever the pressure will be there due to this height H1. Okay, and this will be equal to pressure in the left limb. That is, in the left limb, what is there? Above this, there is atmospheric air. So we have to measure only pressure, this much pressure. Okay, and this is due to the height H2, rho 2 G H2. Okay, how can I calculate? Rho 2 into G into H2. Rho 2 is the density of liquid, manometric liquid. This, whatever it dark, it is shown by the dark, that it is called as manometric liquid. And most of the time, this manometric liquid is taken as mercury. Okay, why the mercury is preferred as a manometric liquid? Because it will not stick to the surface of the tube. What are the properties of the mercury? Why the mercury is taken as the manometric liquid? Because the mercury will not stick to the surface of the tube. Also, it is thick. Means what? The density of mercury is high. When there is a pressure rise, with the high pressure of rise, it will give the small deviation. Okay, in the high rise in the pressure, it will give the small deviation of the height. So the liquid will not get fall down from this right limb. Okay, so it will give the small rise with the for the high pressure due to the high density of the mercury. Okay, so how can I simply calculate pressure at point A is equal to rho 2 G H2 minus rho 1 G H1. I can derive this formula for this condition. Okay, now see here for another condition B, I will derive here pressure in the left limb. What is the pressure in the left limb? Pressure at point A, pressure at point A plus the pressure due to this height H1. Okay, what is the height pressure due to that height H1? Rho G H1 plus the pressure due to this height H2, that is rho G H2, rho 2, rho 1 G H1 plus rho 2 G H2. Okay, and is equal to what? The pressure into the right limb. What is the pressure into the right limb? There is nothing in the right limb, so it is equal to 0. So how can I write here? The pressure at point A for this figure is equal to minus into bracket rho 1 G H1 plus rho 2 G H2. Okay, this is expression for calculating the pressure for this second diagram. And this indicates minus term, so it is negative. The pressure is negative pressure. Okay, so this is how we can calculate the pressure in the simple YouTube manometer. See, by the simple manometer, we are calculate here the pressure. Okay, by using simple manometer, we have calculated here the pressure. Now we will see the differential manometer. So see here, the differential manometer is given. See, I will consider this as case 1 and this as case 2. Okay, so let us discuss about first case 1. What is the pressure in the left limb? Consider axis AA. Axis AA is given here. Okay, at axis AA, I will assume that whatever the pressure is there in the left limb is equal to the whatever the pressure it is there in the right limb. At axis AA, the pressure at left limb is equal to pressure in right limb. So, what is the pressure in the left limb? Pressure, see here the point P is given. Pressure at point P plus, okay, what is the height? This, the liquid height, it is H1. So due to this H1 height, rho G H1, I will say rho 1 G H1. Okay, this is up to this point. Now I will calculate in the right limb. E is equal to, at this point Q, what is the pressure? Pressure at point Q plus, due to this height H2. Okay, what is the H2? This much height of the liquid in the pipe Q. Okay, this is H2. This much height, it is H2. So due to this height, rho G H2. Okay, what will be the pressure? Rho G H2 plus. Also there is a manometric liquid in the right limb with the height of H. Height is given as H. So this pressure due to this manometric liquid, it is equal to rho 3 G into H. Okay, so what I will do now, I will take this P and Q term common in the left side. P, pressure at point P minus pressure at point Q is equal to rho 2 GH2 plus rho 3 GH minus this term rho 1 GH1. Okay, so by this formula, I can calculate the pressure difference. See here, whether I am getting the directly pressure here? No. What I am getting here? The pressure in pipe P minus pressure in pipe Q means what? I am getting here the very important word. Many people get confused. Pressure difference. Okay, very important word. In the differential YouTube manometer, we are always calculating the pressure difference. And in the simple, now in the previous slide, we have taken the simple manometer. In the simple manometer, we directly calculate the pressure. But in the YouTube differential manometer, we always calculate the pressure difference. Okay, please note that point. This is a very important point. In simple manometer, if you have not taken that point, please write down. I will tell now. In a simple manometer, we calculate pressure. And in a differential manometer, we calculate pressure difference. This is what? Inverted YouTube differential manometer. Okay, this is what? inverted U tube differential manometer. When it is used, when we have to measure the very low pressure or it is very sensitive. Okay, we are measure use this inverted U tube manometer to calculate or to measure very low pressure as well. When there is very low pressure, we use this differential manometer. Okay, and always keep in mind one point. Whenever we are dealing with the U tube differential manometer, whatever the manometric liquid we are using, that is always called as it is always thicker, okay, than the liquid which is flowing into the pipes. Or we can say the liquid or the manometric liquid we are using in the U tube manometer is heavier. See here, I will write here in U tube manometer. I'll write here below. In U tube manometer, you can also write as a note. Everyone, write it as a note. In a U tube manometer, we use heavier liquid as a manometric liquid. Okay, in the U tube manometer, we use heavier liquid as your in manometric liquid, whereas in differential manometer, sorry, in inverted U tube manometer, whereas in inverted U tube manometer, we use lighter liquid as a manometric liquid. Okay, whenever we are dealing with the U tube manometer, we use heavier liquid into the manometric as a manometric liquid. But see here, in the inverted U tube manometer, as we keep the manometer inverted, that is in the reverse condition, so we have to use here lighter liquid as a manometric liquid. You can see here, it is given here lighter liquid. In the inverted manometer, we are using the lighter liquid as a manometric liquid. Lighter liquid as a manometric liquid. Means what? Suppose if there is a water flowing into the pipe, then manometric liquid you can use as oil. Okay, means what? Whatever the liquid, it is lighter, that you can use as a manometric liquid. Clear? So what you have to keep in mind, very important 2 points I will discuss now. Very important 2 points we have discussed now. First is what? The simple manometer will give pressure and a differential manometer will give pressure difference. Okay. Here, simple manometer will give pressure, differential manometer will give pressure difference between 2 points in the pipe. Now, second important point is whenever we are dealing with the U-tube manometer, the manometric liquid, whatever we have used, it is heavier liquid. Okay, and when we are dealing with the inverted U-tube manometer, we have to use lighter liquid as a manometric liquid. Okay, in the U-tube manometer, U-tube differential manometer, heavier liquid as a manometric liquid, and in inverted U-tube differential manometer, lighter liquid as a manometric liquid. Okay, these two are very important points, confusing, and the number of times the MCQ will ask on these points. Now we will move forward. Okay, so we have covered up till now the manometric pressure gauges. Okay, we have covered the manometer part. Now second part is what? Mechanical gauges. Second part is what? Mechanical gauges, and in that there are different gauges, but the most important one is the Bourdon tube pressure gauge. Okay, there are different gauges, but the mostly used is the Bourdon pressure gauge. Which lighter liquid is used? One person has asked the question, which lighter liquid it is used. Generally, the liquid which is flowing through the pipe is always what? Water. We are dealing with all the times, generally we are dealing with the water. So the liquid which is heavy, lighter than the water, it is used in the inverted liquid. Which one you can use? Oil, simple, or kerosene, etc. The liquid whose density is less than the water, you can use that liquid as a lighter liquid in the inverted U-tube manometer. Okay, here the question. Okay, so we will move forward. We will see now the Bourdon's pressure gauge. So we will clearly understand by this. We will see one video regarding that point. So we will easily get the idea, general idea regarding the Bourdon pressure gauge. After that, we will see the information regarding that.
Let me tell you about this amazing offer from Udemy. Right now, they're having one of their biggest sales of the year. So अगर आप घर बैठे बैठे बोर हो गए हो and
Bourdon tube pressure gauge. Bourdon tube pressure gauges are used for the pressure measurement of relative pressure from 0.6 bar to 7,000 bars.
So see the most important point, Bourdon pressure gauge will give us the pressure from 0.6 bar to 7,000 bar. This much pressure we can measure.
They are classified as mechanical pressure measuring instruments and thus operate without any electric power. This video will cover the followings. 1. Working principle of Bourdon tube pressure gauge. 2. Construction. 3. Working. 4. Advantages and disadvantages. If you are new to ADTW, click on the subscribe button below and turn on the notification to get all the updates from our channel. Working principle of Bourdon tube pressure gauge. When an elastic transducer, such as Bourdon tube in this case, is subjected to a pressure, it deflects. This deflection is proportional to the applied pressure when calibrated. Construction. A C-type Bourdon tube consists of a long thin-walled cylinder of.
So see here, generally the C type of pressure gauge is used as a Bourdon pressure gauge, and the shape of the tube. See here how the shape of the tube is there, elliptical or parabolic. Elliptical shape is there of that tube. Okay, when the water with the pressure will insert into this tube, the elliptical shape will tries to convert into the circular shape. Okay, as previously it is elliptical shape, as it is elliptical shape of the tube cross section. When the water will flow in by the pressure, it will try to convert into the circular shape. Okay, it will tries to cover this elliptical shape, tries to convert into the circular shape by the pressure.
non-circular cross-section, which is sealed at one end. This tube is made from materials such as phosphor bronze, steel, and beryllium copper, and attached by a light mechanism which operates the pointer. The other end of the tube is fixed and is open for the application of the pressure, which is to be measured. The tube is soldered or welded to a socket at the base through which the fluid, whose pressure is to be measured, enters the C-type Burden tube. Working of Burden tube pressure gauge. As the fluid under pressure enters the Burden tube, it tries to change the cross-section of the tube from oval to circular, and this tends to straighten out the tube. The tip of the Burden tube is connected to a segmental lever through an adjustable link. The segmental lever end on the segment side is provided with a rack which meshes to a suitable pinion mounted on a spindle. The segmental lever is suitably pivoted and the spindle holds the pointer. The resulting movement of the free end of the tube causes the pointer to move over the scale.
See the movement of the tube inward or
In
upward.
real-life application, the pressure gauges are mounted with siphon tube.
We can
Siphon
also
tube
use
is
a
a simple
siphon tube.
device used to protect a pressure sensor from high-temperature media, such as steam. It can also be used to reduce the potentially damaging effects of rapid pressure changes. When first installed, the siphon should be filled with water or some other suitable separating medium. This medium continuously remains in contact with the Burden tube.
You can also go with the siphon.
Burden tubes are generally made in three shapes: C-type, helical type, and spiral type. Advantages of Burden tube pressure gauges. 1. These Burden tube pressure gauges give accurate results. 2. The cost of Burden tube pressure gauges is low. 3. Burden tube are simple in construction. 4. They can be modified to give electrical outputs. 5. They are safe even for high pressure measurement. 6. Accuracy is high, especially at high pressures. Disadvantages of Burden tube pressure gauges. 1. They respond slowly to changes in pressure. 2. They are subjected to hysteresis. 3. They are sensitive to shocks and vibrations. 4. Amplification is a must, as the displacement of the free end of the Burden tube is low. 5. It cannot be used for precision measurement. If you want more in-depth videos like this, then subscribe this channel.
So this is what the general idea regarding the Bourdon pressure gauge tube. Okay, so what we have seen, the Bourdon pressure tube is used to measure the very high pressure, that is the pressure from 0.6 bar to 7,000 bar. Up to this much pressure we can measure by using the Bourdon pressure tube. The pressure consists of the metal tube of the elliptical cross section. Okay, what is the elliptical cross section will be there? When the water enters with the pressure, it tries to convert the elliptical shape into the circular shape. And generally this tube is of C shape, helical shape, and the spiral shape. Mostly used shape is the C shape. When the one end of the tube is connected to the source of pressure. Okay, one end is connected to the pressure where the water enters, and another end is sealed one. Okay, and it is connected with the point by the pivot arrangement. Then the pinion springs will be there, and that will be connected to the pointer. When the water enters with the pressure, the pointer deflects, and it will shows us the reading which gives the pressure of that water. Okay, the simple pinion sector arrangement will be provided to convert the linear mover into the angular by the pinion. The pointer, the pressure indicates by the pointer over the dial, which can be graduated into the suitable scale. Okay, so this Bourdon pressure tube gives the pressure according with the movement of the C-shaped tube in outward and inward direction. Okay. So this is the simple construction and working of the Bourdon pressure tube. This is very simple technique called as bottom pressure gauge. So this is how we have covered the pressure measuring devices. We have covered the very important point. That is what pressure measuring devices. In that we have covered the manometer. In that what is simple manometer and differential manometer. In simple manometer, there is piezometer, U-tube manometer, single column manometer, and in the differential manometer, U-tube manometer and inverted U-tube differential manometer. And in the mechanical gauges, there are diaphragm pressure gauge, bottom pressure gauge, deadweight pressure gauge, and bellows pressure gauge. But mostly they will focus on the bottom pressure gauge. So we have covered the bottom pressure gauge point also. Okay. So this is how we have completed the pressure measuring devices. Whatever the next portion is there, we will cover into the next lecture. Okay, we will see the remaining portion in next lecture. You can leave the lecture by putting your attendance into the chat box. Put your attendance into the chat box, then you can leave. Thank you for attending the lecture.
सर पहिल्या चॅप्टरचे व्हिडिओज आणि पीपीटी टाकले नाही सर टीचिंग डायरी